You are holding a newborn right now, tiny fingers, barely breathing, and the nearest hospital is 200 miles away. There is no doctor, no medicine, no ambulance, no phone to call. Just you, a fire, and 30 people who have never read a single page of medical science in their lives. That is not a nightmare scenario. That was every single birth for 290,000 years of human history. And here is what nobody tells you. The survival strategies those people used, with zero technology, zero medicine, zero modern knowledge, are the same strategies that saved more lives than any invention that came after. So the real question is not how did babies die back then? The question is what did 30 people with nothing know that we have forgot? For the first 290,000 years of human existence, giving birth was the single most dangerous moment in any woman's life. But here is the number that changes everything. Archaeological records suggest that roughly 50% of all children born in prehistoric times did not survive past age 5. 1 in 2. That means every mother who gave birth already knew, statistically, that she might lose this child. And yet, the species survived. 8 billion people are alive today because of what those mothers, those tribes, those communities did in those moments when a baby was almost gone. The question is, what exactly did they do? In 2013, anthropologist Wenda Trevathan at New Mexico State University published research on the evolution of human birth. She found one pattern so consistent across every documented hunter-gatherer society that it functioned almost like biological law. No woman gave birth alone. Not once. Not ever. This was not a cultural choice. It was survival architecture. The moment labor began, the most experienced women in the tribe formed a circle, not out of kindness, out of necessity. Because human babies are born facing the wrong direction. Unlike every other primate, a human infant exits the birth canal facing backward, making self-delivery nearly impossible without assistance. Evolution did not give us privacy in birth. It gave us each other. But the tribe's role did not end at delivery. Among the Agta people of the Philippines, documented by anthropologist P.B. Griffin, older women positioned themselves around the birthing mother in a specific formation, one behind her for physical support, one watching the infant's color, one monitoring her breathing, one managing the fire temperature. This was not instinct. This was a system refined over thousands of years of watching babies live and watching babies die. They knew which shade of blue meant danger. They knew which cry meant strength. They knew which silence meant something was wrong before any modern monitor could detect it. And when that silence came when the baby arrived and the color was wrong and the breathing did not start, the tribe had to make a choice no parent should ever face. Here is where ancient humans did something so instinctively sophisticated that modern medicine spent decades trying to catch up. The moment a baby showed signs of weakness, the mother did one thing. She pulled that child against her bare chest and did not let go. No blanket. No crib, no incubator, just skin against skin, heartbeat against heartbeat. In 1978, Colombian neonatologist Edgar Sanabria introduced what he called kangaroo mother care after studying exactly this behavior in indigenous communities. Hospitals at the time were losing premature babies at catastrophic rates. He removed the incubators. He gave the babies back to their mothers. Mortality dropped by 40%. The medical world called it a breakthrough. Ancient mothers called it instinct. But skin-to-skin contact was only the first layer. The tribe had a second strategy that modern science has only recently begun to understand. In 2019, researchers at the University of Cambridge analyzed health outcomes across 60 documented forager societies. They found that infant survival rates were dramatically higher in tribes with stronger collective caregiving networks, not tribes with better food, not tribes in warmer climates, tribes where more people were actively involved in caring for each infant. The Hadza people of Tanzania, one of the last remaining hunter-gatherer populations, have a specific behavior documented by anthropologist Frank Marlowe. When a baby is born weak or struggling, the entire tribe shifts. But what Marlowe documented goes deeper than simple caregiving. Among the Hadza, there existed a specific role for every single member of the tribe in a birth crisis. Older women, called the memory keepers, took turns holding the infant through the night so the mother could recover. They held the baby in a specific position, slightly elevated, head tilted, which modern science now recognizes as optimal for clearing fluid from newborn airways. They did not know the science. They had watched enough babies survive in that position and enough babies die in other positions to make it law. Men in the tribe were not passive either. They hunted through the night specifically specifically targeting liver and bone marrow, the two highest sources of iron available in the wild, because generations of observation had taught them that bleeding mothers needed something in those foods to survive. Children as young as 6 were assigned to tend the fire at a specific distance, close enough for warmth, far enough to avoid smoke reaching the newborn's lungs. The baby did not belong to the mother alone. The baby belonged to everyone, and that collective ownership was medicine. But there was a third strategy, one so psychologically sophisticated that it reveals something deeply uncomfortable about how we live today. Every documented prehistoric society had one person whose entire role was medical knowledge. Not a doctor, not a scientist, a shaman. And before you dismiss that word, consider this. In 2017, researchers at University College London analyzed 27 documented shaman traditions across Africa, Asia, and the Americas. They found that shamanic herbal treatments for fever, infection, and respiratory distress in newborns contained active compounds that modern pharmacology has since isolated and replicated. The willow bark they used contains salicin, the active ingredient in aspirin. The specific leaves they burned to clear congested airways contained compounds now used in respiratory medicine. Yarrow plant, used across Native American tribes, has now been confirmed to reduce postpartum bleeding. Wild garlic preparations used by African tribal healers have demonstrated measurable antibacterial effects against the exact pathogens that kill newborns in their first 48 hours. Raspberry leaf preparations, documented in over 40 separate indigenous cultures on 5 different continents, are now being studied by Johns Hopkins researchers for their effect on uterine recovery after difficult births. These were not superstitions. They were 10,000 years of empirical observation compressed into ritual. The shaman did not know why it worked, but they knew that it worked. And that knowledge, passed from shaman to shaman across generations, was the closest thing to a neonatal ICU that existed for most of human history. Today, you can walk into any hospital in the world, and a team of specialists will fight for your baby's life with machines that cost more than most houses. And we should be grateful for every single one of those machines. But here is what we lost somewhere between the cave and the delivery room. When a baby was almost dying 50,000 years ago, 30 people stopped everything. Every fire was tended. Every hand was available. Every piece of knowledge the tribe possessed was activated. The baby did not almost die alone, and neither did the mother. Today, the most advanced medical system in human history can save a baby that ancient humans could not. But it cannot give that mother what ancient mothers had, a tribe of 30 people who would not sleep until that child was breathing. We gained the machines, we lost the circle. And somewhere in that loss is a question worth asking. What did we actually build all of this for? If you think that is the end of the story of ancient human survival, you are not ready for what they did when the threat was not inside the cave. It was waiting just outside it. Subscribe for history that makes you think differently.